Story recapped here. Today I'm going to explain a comedy, drama, and horror film called In Fabric. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A single mom, Sheila, gets scolded at work in the bank yet continues to do her job. At home, she lives with her son Vince, who gets a call from his dad. While checking mail, Sheila gets distracted by a television ad for a department store sale in Dentley and Suppers. Just then, Vince tells her that he's going to his dad's place, angering Sheila because he doesn't want to eat dinner before leaving. However, Vince says he'll eat dinner cooked by his dad's new girl, something Sheila didn't know about. That night, Sheila looks through newspaper personals to find a date. The next night, Sheila arrives home and finds Vince's girlfriend Gwen modeling on their kitchen counter while Vince sketches her. When Sheila offers them a drink, Gwen ignores her because she's busy posing. Later, she sees them engaging in carnal pleasures and hears them shagging through the walls. Soon, Sheila gets a call from Adonis, someone she found on the newspaper personals. He schedules a date with her, so she gets a new hairstyle. Sheila goes to Dentley and Suppers to look for clothes, and a red dress catches her eye. The clerk, Miss Luckmore, who speaks in riddles, convinces her to try it on. After trying it on, Sheila asks about the size and is surprised to discover that it's a 36 because that isn't her size. Leading Sheila in front of a mirror, Luckmore says dimensions and proportions transcend the prisms of their measurements. Still, Sheila is apprehensive about the dress, so Luckmore reminds her to desist, warning attention to the askew perception of self. Then, Luckmore mentions which topics Adonis will be discussing on their date, but Sheila ignores it, focusing on the dress. Luckmore convinces her to buy it by encouraging Sheila to be bold because Adonis will compliment her. While ringing Sheila up, Luckmore asks for her personal details and closes her eyes as she answers. Luckmore then stares at her intently until Sheila's change comes. At work, Sheila is distracted, showing off her new dress to a colleague. Meanwhile, Luckmore is reciting Sheila's details to someone over the phone who's taking notes of it. At home, Vince comments on Sheila going out on a date, wondering if it's too soon because Sheila wanted to get back with her ex-husband. Sheila says that she did until she found out about his new girl. While Sheila is waiting for Adonis, Luckmore is in the department store's back room, removing her wig and putting it on a mannequin before posing in front of the mirror. After arriving, Adonis shows Sheila that he has discount vouchers for the restaurant, then gives her a wilted rose from his briefcase. Trying to make conversation, Sheila asks questions about Adonis, but he gives shorthand answers and gets angry when Sheila continues to ask. On the other hand, Luckmore fits herself into a dumbwaiter and descends. When Sheila gets home after the date, she notices a rash on her chest after taking off the dress. Sheila bangs on the bathroom and shouts at Vince to hurry up, but Gwen greets her instead. They make small talk before Gwen apologizes for showering too long, saying she'll be quick because Sheila is desperate. Back at the store, Luckmore watches as people wait for Dentley and Suppers to open. The next day, Sheila finds her red dress in Vince's room, scolding him for Gwen's tendency to do what she wants in their home. However, Vince just brushes her off, so Sheila tells him that she finds Gwen's behavior disgusting. While doing the laundry, Sheila plays a board game with Vince and Gwen. When Gwen notices Sheila's rash, she mentions that she knew someone who had the same rash and ended up getting an amputation. During Sheila's turn on the game, she forgoes taking Gwen's pieces off the board. Vince talks in French, warning Gwen that Sheila will hate her if she makes her lose. But Gwen calls Sheila the B word since Sheila already hates her. Vince defends his mother because she's done a lot for Gwen. Despite Vince's warning, Gwen still takes Sheila out of the game and laughs. Suddenly, Sheila notices their washing machine going haywire, so she and Vince stop it. But even when they unplug it, it keeps going and ends up cutting Sheila on her arm. Meanwhile, Luckmore and another store clerk clean a mannequin while the proprietor, Mr. Lundy, watches from the window. As Luckmore caresses the mannequin's body, slowly removing its underwear to reveal hair, Lundy becomes excited and starts pleasuring himself. The lifelike mannequin starts menstruating, so Luckmore dips her finger into its crotch before tasting it. At work, Sheila gets scolded by her bosses Clive and Stash because the superior complained about her lackluster handshake. They even hand her an article that shows how to do a proper handshake. Furthermore, they scold her for using the bathroom before clocking out. To get a dress resized, Sheila goes back to the department store. While waiting, she looks at the catalog, but Luckmore stops her from looking at the model wearing the red dress, Jill. Sheila struggles against her hand, ripping the page, so Luckmore reveals that Jill died in an accident after modeling the red dress. Afterward, Sheila asks how many red dresses are in stock, so Luckmore says it's just the one Jill modeled. As Sheila stares at her photo, she sees a vision of a news article revealing that Jill died in a zebra crossing. Later, Luckmore tears off Jill's page in the catalog before inserting it in her crotch. When she gets home, Sheila finds a note from Vince that someone reached out to her from the newspaper personals. Thus, she goes on a date with Zach, who also came with discount coupons. Back at home, the dress loiters around the house. While Gwen and Vince are being naughty again, the dress hovers above Gwen and starts trying to suffocate her. When she screams, Vince immediately comforts her while the dress falls to the floor. Meanwhile, Sheila is having a good time with Zach, having a light-hearted conversation and dancing together. At the department store, Luckmore and Lundy welcome another horde of shoppers as the store clerks beckon them inside, bowing as they come in. Sheila ends up spending more time at home with Zach, where he sees stitching on the dress that says, "You who wear me will know me." So Sheila confesses that she thinks something is wrong with the dress. However, Zach doesn't think too much of it. When Zach asks her to put it on, Sheila hesitates but wears it anyway, so the night ends with them sleeping together. The next day, Sheila and Zach go for a walk when she's suddenly attacked by a dog who won't let go of the dress, so her leg gets mauled. Back at home, Vince brings back Sheila's stuff, where they find out that the red dress is in one piece despite Sheila's insistence that the dog ripped it to pieces. While trying to sleep at night, Sheila hears the red dress moving inside the closet. The next day, Sheila tries to exchange the dress, but Luckmore doesn't accept it because Sheila lost the receipt. Even when Sheila attempts to leave them the dress without anything in exchange, Luckmore tells her to share her complaints with another personnel, so Sheila just leaves in annoyance. On the way out, Lundy stops her, giving her a voucher yet still not letting her return the dress. At work, Clive and Stash reprimand Sheila again, this time for waving at their superior's mistress, saying such a casual greeting was too informal because the boss's mistress is still a superior based on company policy. Furthermore, they imply that Sheila is engaging in substances, urging her to open up to them if there's something wrong. Thus, Sheila shares that she's been having nightmares about her dead mother. In her dream, she found one of her mother's old dresses and wore it. When she looked in the mirror, she saw her mother from the grave in the reflection. As she rode a bus, everyone hid under their seats because of the corpse's stench. Back at home, Sheila tells Vince she's leaving to stay with Zach for a while. On the way there, Sheila gets spooked by random mannequins and swerves to avoid a mannequin that spawned in the middle of the road. Crawling away from the crash, Sheila reaches out for the hovering dress but ends up dying. Back at home, Vince ignores a phone call about Sheila's death to continue touching himself. With the dress back in circulation, a man buys it from a secondhand shop. He throws it over a basket of fruits and vegetables in the backseat of his car, not realizing that the produce rots quickly under the dress. The man soon surprises his friend, Reg, with the bachelor party. They force Reg to wear the red dress and make fun of him. After a night of drinks and dancing, Reg ends up puking outside. The following day, Reg is badly hungover and gets woken up by his fiancée, Babs, nagging on the phone about wedding preparations. Afterward, Babs consoles Reg about drinking too much, saying he could have just refused the drinks. Then, she asks if Reg could talk to their wedding planner, but notices a rash on Reg's chest. At work, Reg, a washing machine repairman, gets called by his boss, Cottrell, who's angry that Reg didn't invite him to his bachelor party. Though going to his boss's office, Cottrell just stares at him. While fixing a laundry machine at a client's home, Pam keeps asking about Reg's personal life. She's surprised to discover that Reg has been with Babs for 14 years and hasn't been with anyone else. Nor has he been tempted to look at another woman. Reg changes the topic and talks about her laundry machine's problems. Still, Pam says her ex-husband also said he didn't look at anyone else but ended up cheating on her. Pam asks for Reg's thoughts, but he talks about washing machines again, making Pam roll her eyes. As Reg continues his tangent about her washing machine, Pam falls into a trance. Back at home, Reg is trying to make love to Babs, but she's too busy going on a rant about their wedding guests. The next day, Babs tries on the red dress and immediately loves it. Reg suggests wearing tights with it because it's cold outside, but Babs says they make her legs itch. Though trying to make Reg look, Babs doesn't get much of a reaction, even when she asks how Reg was able to fit into a size 36 dress. Before leaving, Babs throws clothes in the laundry alongside the dress. While trying on clothes at Dentley and Suppers, Babs notices that a size 38 dress is still too tight for her. After changing out of the dress, Babs notices the same rash on her chest. On the way home, Reg gets distracted after seeing mannequin legs with tights, remembering a memory from when he was a kid and a woman wearing tights was dressing him up. When they get home, Babs tells Reg to ask where his friend got the dress from, worrying about the rash, though soon they worry about the broken washing machine. After hanging the clothes, Reg immediately checks on the machine and goes on a tangent about the broken parts, making Babs fall into a trance. At work, Reg gets called into Cottrell's office again, but this time it's because he fixed his own laundry machine without reporting it at work. At Cottrell's office, Reg is asked to hand over his company ID, and Cottrell eats it right in front of him. Back at home, Reg is putting away the Christmas decor while Babs complains about their wedding planner again. Noticing the red dress by the power outlet, Babs picks it up before plucking the cord off the Christmas lights. At night, Babs asks Reg whether he's worried about the rash, but Reg thinks it might be because of the washing powder. When Babs wonders whether it's something venereal, they confirm that neither sleeps with anyone else. Babs asks whether Reg loves her, and he says yes. While they're asleep, the red dress falls on top of their birdcage. The next day, Babs sees that their bird died from asphyxiation, but Reg doesn't know how a dress suffocated a bird, so he suggests that it might be carbon monoxide poisoning. With Babs scared, Reg says he'll check during lunch. However, Babs doesn't think Reg would be able to come home from work, so she volunteers to do it. Reg just tells Babs to call him if the flame turns orange. Although dressed for work, Reg doesn't have a job anymore, so he hesitates to leave when Babs keeps telling him to go. Instead, he goes to the bank for a loan, meeting with Clive and Stash. However, because of Reg's termination at work, they're reluctant to give him a loan. When Reg asks about the job opening at their bank, they say it's already taken and refers Reg to Dentley and Suppers, who's looking for a male worker. However, they correct themselves, saying the department store wasn't actually looking for a new hire, but was looking for a male worker that disappeared. Back at home, Babs turns on their boiler to check for carbon monoxide. The flames are blue, so Babs just leaves it at that. At the bank, Reg is offered a deferred employment package, or DEP, which they consider a motivational loan because it helps people get back on the job market. But Reg isn't happy with the interest rate. Clive and Stash ask Reg to talk about fixing machines after hearing that Reg is good at talking about the process of fixing them. Although Reg is apprehensive about doing so because there's no machine, the two convince him by bribing him with favorable loan rates. When Reg starts talking, Clive and Stash fall into a trance but get pulled out of the stupor when Reg fumbles, so they ask whether something's wrong. Thus, Reg confesses that he was having bad dreams. In his dream, he watched from the outside as Babs went into labor and tried to take some of her pain by screaming to show how much he cared, but it just annoyed everyone. Although he kept knocking on the window to be let in, they ignored him. When the baby was delivered, it was wearing the red dress, and when Reg tried waving to his baby, the baby just flipped him off. After talking about his dream, the other two mention that it reminds him of their dream about their laundry machine, which coerces Reg into talking about machines, putting Stash and Clive into a trance. Later, Reg drives home and sits in front of the TV. Meanwhile, Babs goes shopping at the department store, but Luckmore tries to stop her because it's almost closing time. However, Babs fights for her customer rights, saying she can't just be thrown out because she's already inside. Babs wants to buy a dress and insists that she'll be done before Luckmore could find another excuse to throw her out. Then, Luckmore insults Babs' dress, saying it's shabby and that they have a rule that customers should look presentable, even telling her to come back wearing something else. Still, Babs doesn't back down, saying she'll only come back if she gets to buy a dress. Then, Lundy calls Luckmore aside, granting Babs the permission to shop. Back at home, the flames turn orange as the broiler detects carbon monoxide, but Reg is too fixated on a Dentley and Suppers TV commercial to notice. While looking through the catalog, Babs tells Luckmore that it's nice to see models bigger than her, so Babs asks Luckmore to guess her size. When Luckmore insists that Babs is a 36, Babs feels flattered and shares a dream of when she was a size 36. In her dream, she saw herself as a model in the catalog, but every time she looked skinnier, the size written next to her became bigger. Babs asked for assistance, so the store clerks corrected the sizes in the catalog. Then, they tore up the pages of Babs modeling before burying her with them in the department store. After telling her story, Luckmore yawns and just points her to the dressing room. In the fitting room, the red dress slowly sneaks away while Babs is preoccupied. At the counter, two ladies start arguing over who gets served first. When a lady spits on the other woman, a physical altercation starts as slaps and punches are thrown. The fight escalates as mannequins get knocked over and break glass cases, resulting in looting. Back at home, Reg dies from carbon monoxide poisoning. Meanwhile, the red dress falls over a radiator, causing a fire to erupt, so Babs immediately tries to escape but gets locked inside the fitting room. Meanwhile, Luckmore takes a ruined mannequin and flees as the department store continues to erupt in flames and chaos. Luckmore goes into the dumbwaiter and descends further into the department store, seeing previous owners of the red dress sewing more red dresses made from their blood, which is attached to an IV pole. First, she sees the dead store model Jill, then Sheila, then Reg, and finally Babs. However, there are more sewing stations left empty. At the ruined department store, a fireman notices the red dress undamaged amongst the burnt rubble.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.